Okay, there's a couple things I'd like to talk about in this little video. One is about the pixels of the imagery, and the other is about metadata that we can learn from looking at this sort of layer manager over here. But first of all, let's focus on our screen right now, and I'm going to zoom. I'm going to zoom way in. At least that's my hope. So I'm zooming in. You can see this image gets very pixelated, right? And so we're starting to see these individual pixel elements. That's what the pixel stands for. And if we bring up our cursor value guy over here, we can see that these individual pixels have a uniform data value. So I'm in a data value of 8 over here, 8 crossover. Now it's 30. Now it's 69, now it's 81, and so on, up to the maximum of 255. And then these black guys have very, very low values associated with them. So the pixel is the smallest resolvable unit in the image, and we can actually measure how wide that is. We can measure other things too, but we can use this mensuration tool. And what this guy does is, let me try to click on it and get it going here. Well, now we got the X. So I can click over here and I can draw across, and we can see that this, if we look in the cursor value over in this area over here, once I get to the edge of it, it has a value of about 28.5 meters. That's how wide this thing is. And if I'm interested in how tall it is, I can do the same kind of thing. So I start up there. So it's about 28.5 meters tall and wide. So that's the sort of individual pixel element. And if we zoom back out, and we zoom all the way out, we can see the whole image here. We can see the whole image. And it's not just the image, it's also on this black space that we've got going on here. And sorry, I want to get rid of this tool here and get back to that guy. Okay. Now this is really interesting, right? And we can look at the corners of this overall image here. And so if we think about pixels, the pixels are oriented in space and they have a numbering convention. And it has to do with, you can think of them as a grid, right? And this grid has a number of columns, column, down, and a number of rows. Row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, and so on. And I'm sort of exaggerating here. But we can use this button up here to identify ourselves using these rows and columns of the pixel on the grid. So if we go to position 1, 1, that's going to bring us to this upper left-hand corner. Okay? And so that's in the first row and the first column. And so presumably there's some maximum number of columns and there's some maximum number of rows. And we can understand what those values are by looking in the metadata of the image. And we can get to that by coming up over here where my mouse is and right clicking. And if we go to view metadata, in the first one here associated with raster, there's also information for map info and coordinates and extents and spectral, all sorts of good stuff. But in raster, we can see the number of samples. Okay, and you can think about that as the number of columns and the number of lines, or the number of rows. So there's 9,092 samples and there's 8,016 lines. Okay, so if I incorporate that information into here and I say, well, I want to be in the first column, but I want to go to the last row, which is 8,016, and I hit that. Oh, I just shot down there. I'm at the bottom. And if I want to get to this corner over here, presumably I'm going to have to be at both the maximum of the rows and the maximum of the columns. So this is going to be 9092 and then 8016, right? And so on. Okay, so I just wanted to sort of share that with you guys, and then you can move on to the next one.